Hey guys, welcome to EC Money. I'm Chris, that's Elgin, and today we're going to be talking about baby step number 5?
I think it's 5.
It is
I
5.
lost count.
Okay, and it is how to get pre-approved.
How to get pre-approved.
Okay.
And then as we get into that, then we're going to dive into the pitfalls of pre-approvals, pre-qualifications, and all that, but we won't be able to cover all that today.
Okay, wait, but there is a difference between pre-approval and pre-qualification.
Yes, but we don't want to get into that yet.
Okay, all right.
Chill, bro.
All right.
Too far ahead.
Let's go.
All right, but hey, don't forget, we got this week's news.
Let's talk about
So let's go into this week's news.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple big things that have officially came out. The first one, year over year,
mm-hmm.
housing prices or housing values have approximately gone up 10%.
Oh, wow.
That means in 12 months, if you had bought a $300,000 home,
Right.
it's gone up $30,000 already.
Easily. Even with the pandemic.
Even with the pandemic.
Yes.
So it's absolutely bonkers. I mean, so I think that's absolutely incredible.
It is.
Which is why it's called, one of the reasons we keep saying it's a seller's market.
Right.
Sellers have the advantage, but I think we're in a really, really weird cycle.
Right.
Because as prices are just skyrocketing
Right.
because of supply and demand,
Right.
it's starting to be to a point where it's not just that buyers can't even find homes. Sellers are now starting to become reluctant of listing their homes. And the reason why is they don't even know if they can find a home.
Right.
So how great is it if I can sell my home
But I can't find one.
Correct. So I'm going to sell my home and
Right.
I'm going to make whatever it is. Let's say I bought a home back in 2017.
Right.
And I sell it today, so I'm going to make 80 grand, which sounds great, but I can't find a home.
Right. So you got nowhere to spend that 80 grand.
So we're in this weird cycle. They were actually saying some of the fun stuff I read over the news this week.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying that the seller market right now, it's more intense than it was in 2006.
Oh, wow.
Which is a big deal.
Right.
Because that's when right before the pricing bubble,
Right.
housing crisis last time around.
That was a mixture of both. Pricing bubble.
Pricing bubble. Crisis. Some type of crisis.
Right.
We're in a pandemic. I don't know what else changes.
It is what it is.
Same reason why we have a table between each other. It's because we're going to go ahead and use our pandemic safety here on this class.
Yes, we are social distancing.
Social distancing through a table.
A little bit.
6 feet apart. Inches. Can't tell the difference.
At all.
But, so that's huge, man. Now, the weird thing is, and not in a bad way, but buyers aren't slowing down.
Right.
It is making it, they are taking longer to what we call go under contract.
Right.
Meaning getting a seller
Right.
to accept an offer.
Right.
And the biggest thing I tell people is, well, then how early should I start this process? Before I used to say, 2 to 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be honest with you. You need to start out 6 months before your lease is up.
Right, yeah, I agree with that. I saw that. I saw a conversation about that today, and it was how soon, if somebody's lease is up in 6 months, how soon should they start looking for a house? And a lot of people were saying, about a month or two, and then most people were like, no, are you crazy? You should have started looking 3 months ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
you need to start the process 6 months before your lease is up, minimum.
Right.
If you're within that, you're 4 months out, 3 months out, you're thinking about buying a home, you need to start today.
Right,
Like,
you're out. Yeah.
There's no reason. And it's not because you can't get approved quick enough. It's not because you can't close quick enough right now. It's because you might not be able to find inventory quick enough.
Right. No matter where. Right.
And right now, inventory under 250, it's scarce. Absolutely scarce. And even lower under 200,000.
Right.
So it truly is something that you need to jump on
Right.
and pre-plan. Buying a home cannot be spontaneous right now.
Right.
Because you're not going to find what you want, you love.
Right. It's going to be planned. You're not going to find something that makes you go, ooh, I love this house. I got to have it. It's going to be, I'll settle for that. And you're paying above asking price.
Well, it's not above it's what asking price is today.
Right.
It's the market.
See, here's one thing that I appreciate about you. Your job is to do the financing side of things.
Yeah.
But you still pay attention to how the market is going, which direction it's going, and that allows you to also be a advocate for the realtor.
Absolutely.
And for the buyer.
Absolutely.
Or even seller. So it's not advice that you're being paid to give, but it's good because they know that they can come to you for whatever they need, and you'll an answer.
I'll have an answer that's educated based on today's market.
Right.
The other part that's going to also help is it's going to allow us, and the main reason I do it gives us an upper hand. Mm-hmm. Because if you go ahead and you get pre-approved, which we'll go into, and you get pre-approved by someone that's out of touch or not as involved, when you're putting in offers, if they're not knowing what type of offer you should be submitting to be competitive,
right,
you could be getting your offers denied all the time.
And not even realizing it.
And not even realizing that it might be due to your lender.
Right.
Or to your loan officer, or to your mortgage broker.
Right.
Or even better, one of the things that is happening right now is offers are so competitive that they're receiving multiple. So sometimes you might have, let's say we both go in and we bid on the home.
Right.
We both offer $200,000. Mm-hmm. We're both financing. Mm-hmm. The listing agent, which represents the seller, calls your loan officer and calls my loan officer. My loan officer doesn't pick up the phone, or my loan officer picks up the phone. It sounds like they're clueless.
Right.
On what's going on.
Right.
Your loan officer picks up the phone or calls back right away and is on top of their game, can speak today's lingo.
Right.
Can answer all the questions they had to ensure and give that listing agent confidence to be like, hey, seller, you should take this offer. And they're both apples to apples.
And don't have to say, oh, I got to check with this person or not. And okay, so and here's another thing that I find incredibly troubling. But at the same, it is, because this is where you need that guidance. Because if you're bidding over asking price, at what point does it become you're paying more for the house and you get yourself in a negative equity situation? You see what I'm saying?
So that's a great question. The way that's avoided with financing is the appraisal.
Right. Okay. See, but you don't know that. So if you just oh, my uncle is a realtor. He's never sold a house before, but he has his license, and I want to help him out. If you go do that and there's a house for $200 and he says you're not gonna get this house unless you offer $250. You offer $250, but it's worth $190. You just screwed yourself.
Well, either you have to come up with a difference, or you just spent money on appraisal, inspections, and your deposit.
Right.
And now the whole deal's going to get canceled because you don't have the difference.
Right. And you have to have a team that can help negotiate that for you and say, don't put that offer in.
Or don't put that offer, or hey, educate you. Hey, this offer might be a little above.
Right.
The appraisal, it might appraise, it might not appraise.
Right.
Are you willing to gamble? And sometimes it is worth gambling, but if you have the right realtor.
Right.
The right mortgage officer representing you, mm-hmm. they can work together to ensure that they do their best job at representing you, to ensure that appraisal, not that we can't manipulate, we can't talk to the appraiser at all, but at least do the very best that we can to ensure that that's going to be avoided. And that's that fair. Makes a world of a difference.
Right, that's fair, it makes sense.
And if it comes in short, you're not blindsided.
Right.
Which we see all the time, by the way. Or we see agents that just don't care.
Right.
I had an agent. I'll tell you. I had an agent that emails me saying, "Hey, we're gonna offer this on this property, and we're not gonna do certain things on there." I reply back with, "Hey, by doing this, the client is going to be short $5,000. Does the client know this, or are they somehow getting funds I'm not aware of?"
Right.
Why are you covering your face, man?
Because
it's real world.
I know, but it's one of those things where it's like they're blindsiding
the client that they're representing.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, if you have a realtor, and I think you said it best, XYZ realtor is my family member, mm-hmm. is my friend, mm-hmm. and they do this part-time.
Right.
If they do this part-time, they're doing it part-time because it's just an extra buck on the side.
Right.
They still have a full-time job. They can still pay their bills.
They're not passionate about it at all.
And you need a realtor that's full-time. And
realtors are supposed to have a fiduciary duty to...
Do they? Where's it say that?
I guess it's an ethics thing. Where it's like,
they do have to have ethics. That absolutely is part of their thing.
Right, but
to use the term fiduciary...
Right, I did.
Not proper. Did you know, as a mortgage broker, We don't even have to.
That's crazy. And that's why you got to be so careful, because you can have like the greatest conversation with someone and say, oh, this guy's a great realtor, this girl's a great realtor, and not realize that they're screwing you over in the back end.
And I don't even know that they're screwing you over. I just think it's the way the system's designed.
Right.
That at the end of the day, they're there to gain dollar.
Right.
The way, what you need to do is just like anything, you need to interview.
Right.
You need to interview and make sure that individual actually cares.
Right.
Actually will have your best interest.
Right.
And you got to make a good judgment call, man. I truly believe that you need to pick a realtor that does this for a living.
Right. It's not some side hustle.
It's not some side hustle.
Right.
The reason why is because they're going to have more understanding. The best thing is, would you pick a surgeon?
Right.
That's a surgeon part-time?
Right.
Or would you pick a surgeon that's a surgeon full-time?
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. It'd be full-time. You don't.
Are you picking the professor? So he's a professor at school and he teaches surgery all day.
But he's never been in a.
But he performs one surgery a year.
On his cat.
To keep his license active.
Right.
Or am I picking the surgeon that's actually doing surgeries every single day?
Right.
I'm thinking the guy does that every single day, man.
Right.
I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Right.
But we don't treat this that same way because it's just money, I guess. I'm not sure. I just know that, again, our goal here, educate you, right?
Yeah.
Teach you what to look out for.
Right.
And that's what it's going to be. And based on today's market, I think the worst thing you can do is pick someone that doesn't know what's going on. Or, you know what? If they're new, make sure that they have the right team behind them.
Right.
Because I would say there's a lot of new agents that will have great brokers.
Right.
Great leadership.
Right.
And great teams that will absolutely back them up and guide them and help them through it. And that's perfectly fine as well.
Okay, so are we still on this week?
That was all this week, bro. That's all this week.
I just realized we didn't even get to the main topic. That's good, though.
Main topic!
All
right, let's go.
All right. So, main topic.
Getting pre-approved.
Let's do it.
All right. So, we talked about all the baby steps. Going ahead and emergency fund, paying off your debt, saving up money again. All right. We kind of skipped, but we really didn't because we're going to touch into pre-approval.
Right.
Credit.
Right.
But the reason I don't hit credit beforehand is because, well, you're the credit guy. How many credit reports did we talk about we have? How many credit scores?
Yeah, 3.
Well,
no. Okay,
three FICO, Experian. So you have 3 credit agencies.
That people see. But you have like 20-something credit scores.
28, 29 different models, which we'll get into a whole nother class.
Yeah, most people don't know that. So 3 is like the natural...
Instant.
Yeah, because like you have 3.
That was your client answer.
Yes, it was. But then I'm talking to you, and it's like, well, you know that...
Garbage.
Right. Well, you're the one that introduced me to the website that shows all 28, 29 credit scores. And it's a shit show.
Yeah, to say the least.
Right.
Make sure you bleep that one out.
Always.
Because we're kid friendly.
Right.
On that note, getting pre-approved. So what's that next step? So go ahead and pick, just like you interviewed to pick a realtor,
right.
Interview a loan officer.
Yes.
Interview a mortgage broker. Interview the company and the individual that works there.
Yo, you're gonna make a lot of enemies because people don't do that. The stories that I hear, it's crazy.
Let me ask you, why am I gonna make enemies?
Well, because a lot of people are lazy, and
what's that have to do with me making enemies? Because I told consumers that they should interview. Because they're gonna fail their interviews.
Yeah, they will. Most will.
All right, then they should have not got their job. And if they did that, then the person who gave them the job sucked at interviewing.
See, that right there is Elgin going brah brah brah.
Hard facts, man.
Right, shooting at them. Yeah.
But here's the thing: that's not in this industry. That's in anything.
That's true.
It's no different than I drive to a certain McDonald's.
Right.
And I won't go to another McDonald's that's closer.
Right.
Because every single time I go to the other one, I get the wrong stuff in my bag.
Yeah, and the service is horrible. And the ice cream machine's broken.
Oh, not the ice cream machine. Dude, don't say that. My wife will freak out.
I'm waiting on my stimmy so I can go ahead and pay for a new one.
Every single time we go, first of all, Diana, my wife, she bleep out the name. She orders certain things, including the ice cream.
Right.
She'll eat the ice cream first.
Right.
And then she's too full to finish the other items. So I stuffed them.
And ice cream's like this big. Like it's.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Back on topic.
Right.
Because we are going way off.
As usual.
Pre-approval, interview.
Mm-hmm.
Interview till you're comfortable with someone.
So what do you look for when you're trying to interview a loan officer? Is it experience? What would you say it is?
I would definitely say experience.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say that there has to be a gut feeling that truly makes you feel that this individual has your best interest in mind.
Okay, time. That is your real answer. The first one was BS. And the reason I say it's BS is because I've known you a long time. And you weren't always a seasoned veteran. But from the minute you came into the industry, people gravitated towards you because you cared. And they gravitated towards you because you knew what you were doing, but you didn't have the experience.
I had the experience in a different manner because I did financing prior, so it just translated.
Right.
But I hear you.
Right. So experience in the mortgage industry is a great factor, but you can have somebody that's been doing it 20 years, but they're jaded, and now they cut corners because they're just...
Yeah, absolutely. Burnt out, whatever. They just don't care.
But that gut feeling, what you just said, I agree with that 100%.
If they right away sound like they're disconnected on that phone call or anything like that, or you feel like, oh, are they really listening?
Right.
They're probably not listening.
And you focus on, you don't want to turn this into this endless plug about you, but you focus on the client experience and phone calls and follow-up. Because the majority of the time that I'm here is not just to shoot videos, but we'll talk. And he's like so focused on systems that someone gets touched every interaction. There's something going on. That's what you focus on is, all right, we talked about this, boom, let's follow up. We talked about this, boom, let's follow up. And it's impressive.
It has to be, man, because like I told you, our goal here, it's like health. You need a coach. So we need to stay on top of you for wealth.
Right.
So to me, we're coaches and helping you get there.
Right.
But whether it's me or anyone else, you need to get that comfortable spot. Here's the reality: is I'm not going to go ahead and rhyme or get along with everyone.
Right.
Just not it. And that's perfectly fine. I'm not meant to be it, which is why we made this channel, so you can find someone else.
Right.
You can work with anyone else, but you need to know what to look for.
Right.
From there, what you'll do is we're going to get you pre-approved. They're going to pull your credit. Yes, it's a hard inquiry.
Yes.
Let's get it out of the way. A hard inquiry does not drop your credit score 100 points, 10 points, nor 5 points. I've never till this day, and understand I've been in financing for over 10 years.
Right.
I know I look like I'm 12, but for over 10 years, till this day, I've never declined a single human being, nor I had another bank or lender decline a single human being because of too many credit inquiries.
Okay, so I want to touch on that. First and foremost, you're right. What dropped your score 100 points is the repossession you had last week. But what I find funny is that on the credit side of things, I'll find people saying, hey, can you help me with the inquiries as well? And I'll tell them, yeah, why not? But please understand that inquiries aren't going to really change your score that much. Nice. But what happens is, from what they tell me, is that another company will say, well, this is why it takes 12 months to get your credit done, because you got to take care of all these inquiries, and they might have 20-something, and then the credit repair company will just take off 2 this week, take off 2 next month, take off 3 the month after, and it allows them to drag on the open-ended contract for a long time. So inquiries aren't going to stop you from buying a house.
No, not at all. And the reason they're dragging it out is because they're charging a monthly revenue.
Right.
And so there's an incentive to keep you on that monthly plan. Kind of like trying to keep you at the gym monthly.
Right.
You know, every single time you want to cancel, they make it super hard.
Right.
All of a sudden, you were able to sign a contract in person electronically.
Right.
But to cancel, you have to mail it in, and you have to UPS stamp it, and you need a tracking number, and it's absolutely impossible.
And you got to walk to Brooklyn to get cheesecake for P. Diddy. Like, all that stuff is like overkill.
Overkill, just to cancel. So they're going to drag it out. So once you do that, they pull credit, and at that point, whatever you told them verbally can actually get you what's called a pre-qualification. So pre-qualification is they pull real credit, and if you said you made $10,000 a month, they're going to take it at face value. Right. And if you said you had $50,000 in your bank account, they're going to take it at face value. Right. And they're going to say, based on this information, you qualify up to XYZ, and you qualify for XYC loan program, whether it's conventional, this, and that. And a lot of places will give a letter based off that.
See, I didn't know that. You just... because now that brings us to an interesting crossroads. When someone is pre-approved or pre-qualified, that's
so
what
what
that
I
is.
just did was pre-qualified.
Okay, they can say, "Hey, I make 20 grand," and then they can go to a realtor and say, "I'm approved for up to X amount of dollars," and they can go house shopping, but the actual numbers haven't been verified.
Correct. So everything can change. So that's how you have some of these big giant lenders who have tons of money that advertise get pre-qualified in 10 minutes or less.
Right.
Anyone can do that because you're allowing the system to do its system, and it gets a lot of applications because it's all about immediate gratification.
Right. It's like when the dealership sends you a letter saying, "We want your 2001 Hyundai Sonata. It's worth 38 grand. You should come trade it in. And here we're going to enclose a key that you can open up one of the cars on our lot and it's yours." None of that's real. It's just not. They just tell you that. Yeah, they tell you that just to bring you in.
That Sonata wasn't real?
No, it wasn't.
And the key?
The key was fake.
So you're saying I should throw that key
You
away
should
I
throw
have
it
from
away,
my drawer?
yeah.
Snap, bros. Oh, crocodiles, man.
Anyway, so continue. Next.
So what to actually take to get pre-approved?
Mm-hmm.
For that, you have to turn in the last 2 years of income documentation. So if you're a W-2...
Taxes.
No, not necessarily.
Huh.
If you're a W-2 employee,
Right.
you don't have to turn in tax returns. Just your W-2s
Right.
and your most recent pay stub. The only time you might need more than that, it's if you earn a lot of commission or a lot of overtime. Then, believe it or not, we'll ask for the year-end pay stubs
Right.
with the W-2s, because the W-2 puts all the income one lump sum. It doesn't break it down.
Right.
And the bank wants to see trends, averages. That's why.
And they can make their forecast based on that.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes
A
sense.
driver's license.
Okay.
Simple. Or an ID. Doesn't have. If you don't have a driver's license, all good.
If you don't have a driver's license, you should be ashamed of yourself, unless you suffer from some sort of medical condition that stops you from being able to drive.
I disagree with
then
them.
we're okay.
I wish I didn't have a driver's license, so I had a chauffeur. So I completely disagree with him.
You got to make money for that. Money.
Which is why I wish didn't have a driver's license, because then that means I'd be making money. And I'd be following my own 9-minute plan.
There you go.
Rich.
that, ladies and gentlemen, is a callback.
Callback.
Good.
From there, the most recent bank said, "Hey, look, if you're gonna get pre-approved or for $300,000, and the type of program that you're using needs 15 grand down, we got to see you got the money."
Right. Let's look at your bank accounts. Let's look at your finances.
And here's the key: is this is once all that's done, you've turned that in, and it gets looked at, then they will actually either A, give you a pre-approval.
Right.
B will go ahead and say,
B
will go ahead and change it up and say, "Hey, look, based on this, your income maybe came in lower," or maybe a lot of times in that, it goes up higher, because we as humans sometimes don't even realize what we're making.
Right.
So over the phone, you gave me your net income.
Right.
And we're actually calculating your
Right,
gross.
right.
It happens, man.
Yeah.
So originally I was like, I was thinking 200, and it came out to be, you're actually approved for 230.
Right. That's crazy. That happens a lot too. I've seen it.
Yeah. And by doing all this, that gets you a pre-approval. And the pre-approval is absolutely key in today's market.
It's as good as gold.
Absolutely, man.
Right.
But here's the thing. It's not every lender still does a great job with a pre-approval.
I'm sure. Well, I know that for a fact. I've seen it, so I get it.
Because they'll grab these documents and they'll quickly look at them, and they don't actually sit there and study them and do, I say, underwriting math.
Right.
Or underwriting assessments. There are certain math equations, to keep it simple without getting into details, on how an underwriter looks at your hourly wage versus how we look at it. Meaning that if you make hourly wage at $40 an hour, only because you make that, they're actually going to see if you're actually trending that. And if you're trending lower than that because you've been sick, or because you've been off, or because you like to go ahead and leave an hour early every single week for whatever reason,
they average it out.
They average it. They go down. But here's the thing: there's tons of mortgage originators that will not do that. They'll just see the one pay stub, not take the math. So they use the higher amount or the wrong amount because they didn't take the time, still issue the pre-approval, and then someone goes under contract and everything goes sideways.
Yikes.
That's pitfall.
Yeah.
That's a huge pitfall. So this is why looking up, you know what's a great way?
What?
Look up people's reviews.
Right.
Google someone.
Right. You'll see.
I tell people, Google me any day.
Yeah, you get a lot of comments from Google.
You know, but not even that. Google me. Google my personal Facebook.
Right.
Google people.
Right.
When I go to hire someone, I Google them.
Right. Want to make sure you know what's going on.
What's going on, and they are. That's the reality of the world we're in today.
Right. What's this story? Right.
Absolutely. And that's going to go ahead and allow you to submit an offer and allow you to at least have a chance to compete against cash offers, against other financing offers, more importantly, and get accepted. Mm-hmm. More importantly, because you turned all this in, it's going to allow a lot of our lenders nowadays to close in 30 days or less.
That's when you see those, your file closed in 11 days kind of posts because it's already...
Because we already had everything up front, so all we're having to do is just update a few little things here and there.
You gave up the magic.
And that's the difference between a pre-approval and a pre-qualification.
I honestly did not know that. That's funny. I didn't know the difference.
Now you know.
Yeah, I didn't know the difference.
It's huge.
Mm-hmm.
On that, next week we're going to go into the pitfalls of a pre-approval, get into what are we looking for in credit, and what are things to avoid during that process that can help you make sure that you have a headache-free process.
Yeah.
Because there are people that try to do some quick ones, and I'll give a hint. Hey, Chris, remove that bankruptcy off my credit.
Oh.
Leave it at that. Don't say anything else.
I won't.
It's a hint for next week.
Your last time was hilarious. The last video where your reaction was priceless when I said the name that I said. I watch it like 2-3 times a week. I swear.
Do you?
Yeah, it was just hilarious.
Makes you laugh.
I won't say any more names.
No more names.
Yeah.
And on that note, let's switch over to mind-blowing facts. I love explosions.
Me too.
On that note, please don't send any FBI agencies or CIAs my way. Alright, so funny. Based on what we learned today about pre-approvals, pre-qualifications, mind-blowing fact is that in today's market, if anyone receives a pre-qualification letter when you're submitting an offer, it's going to go ahead and get pretty much denied, even if you're not going after multiple offers. If you as a seller have an agent represent you, and that agent knows at account has a heartbeat, and they see the words pre-qualification versus pre-approval, your offer's not getting accepted.
You're gone.
Even if you're the highest offer.
Right. Because we haven't substantiated any of that. You could have falsified the information. There's no penalties for that, unfortunately. You could have falsified the information to tie up the home buying process for everyone involved until they verify your incoming information. And by then, people aren't interested in buying this house. They probably found something different.
Something different, or your closing could get delayed. Right. There's so many pitfalls.
Right.
So in today's market, you have to get pre-approved.
Right.
That's a mind-blowing fact, man. Right. Because pre-qualification, it's a fake check.
Right.
It ain't the real one.
You have to get pre-approved.
Pre-approved is the key word. That's it. And that's our mind-blowing fact of the week.
Spirit fingers. That was pointless. Yeah.
On that note, guys, make sure you guys follow us. Hit the little bell notification, like, comment, all those things above. And one of the things
subscribe. You forgot to say subscribe.
That one too.
Yeah.
There's one more thing. Start adding comments on questions, concerns, things you guys want answers to.
Right.
And we're going to make sure we answer them on the next video.
Yes. That'll be a Q&A. That'll be at the end. And I think that if people only knew the kind of shenanigans we get up to whenever there's like a cut in a video and I'm just sitting here laughing and you're looking all serious, if they only knew that. And I'm going to leave that part in because one day we're going to do it behind the scenes.
Shenanigans.
Because, listen, man. Anyway.
Why am I the serious one?
Because you're not. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace.
See ya.